You are watching Mukim Sir's accounting lecture.
After you have seen this video lecture by Mukim Sir, you should be able to adjust expense accounts for accruals and prepayments, adjust revenue accounts for amounts owing, show accruals, prepayments, and revenue debtors in the balance sheet, ascertain the amounts of expense and revenue items to be shown in the income statement, make the necessary end-of-period adjustments, explain what an extended trial balance is, prepare accrual and prepayment entries to the accounts using two different methods.
Let's look at two businesses which pay rent for buildings in Rafa Plaza. The rent for each building is £6,000 a year. Business A pays £5,000 in the year. At the year end it owes £1,000 for rent. Rent expense used up equals £6,000. But rent paid for equals £5,000. Business B pays £6,500 in the year. This GOR includes £500 paid in advance for the following year. Rent expense used up equals £6,000. But rent paid for equals £6,500. That means A have paid less than it need to pay and B have paid advance that it need to do. A need to pay rent of £6,000 at the end of every 3 months, on time in March, but that is not always the case. They have calculated every entry under dual aspect system. So when they have paid rent they keep record for it. At March 31st, July 2nd, October 4th, 2005 they will keep journal, rent expense debit, and cash credit. But last few months rent was paid at the next year January 2nd, that was this year expense. For the last few month of 2005 they will be liable, they have to record journal for the liability, rent expense debit, and accrued rent credit. To make the account balance the £1,000 rent owing for 2005, but paid in 2006, must be carried down to 2006 as a credit balance because it is a liability on December 31, 2005. Instead of rent owing it could be called rent accrued or just simply an accrual. So now we can easily understand, if there is any accrual of expense then journal will be, expense debit, and accrual expense credit. B need to pay rent of £6,000 within 2005, but that is not always the case. They have calculated every entry under dual aspect system. So when they have paid rent they keep record for it. So at March 31st, August 31st, November 18th, 2005, they will keep journal, rent expense debit, and cash credit. But last payment they have done, was advance. That was not for this year. They have to reduce the amount of expense and have to show it as asset and record journal for it, prepaid rent debit and rent expense credit. If £6,000 is posted to the debit of income statement at December 31, 2005, the rent account will still have a debit balance of £500. This is a net paid for but not used up at the end of the period. It is an asset and needs carrying forward as such to 2006, that is as a debit balance. Items like this are called prepaid expenses, prepayments, or amounts paid in advance. So now we can easily understand if there is any prepaid expense then journal will be, prepaid